Welcome to the I Love Recruiting podcast with your host, Adam Roach.
Welcome back, everybody, to the I Love Recruiting podcast. I am your host, Adam Roach, and today we have actually a couple neat surprises. I have a special guest host sitting right next to me, the one and only Dana Gentry from Everything Life and Real Estate podcast. Honey, say hi to everybody.
Hello.
And what's even cooler about that is we have Tyler and Kelly, friends of ours from Spokane, Washington. We met them in London this past year, and they are one of the top teams inside of Isagenix. And so when it comes to leadership, when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to influencing, these two people you're getting ready to hear from are the top people. So Tyler, Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here. Glad to be here. As you guys will see, images are mirrors. Or, if you were to take pictures of us and show them to people. What's funny, Adam? I don't know if I told you this. When we were in London, there's a couple of people that came up to me. It's like, all right, now, are you the one that lives in Charleston?
Yeah, that
or the
too.
one just because we look enough alike.
We do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So catch us up to speed. So you guys are in Spokane, Washington, 3 beautiful kids. You're locked in your house right now. You can't leave. I mean, tell us who you are. What's some kind of superpowers you guys have?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
superpowers.
Kelly's the one with the superpowers.
No, I don't know about that. Yes, we are on quarantine right now, and it's kind of nuts. And but it's exciting. I think right now we're so excited and passionate just to be talking to the team. Being in the network marketing space, we have a lot of opportunity to lead and talk to different people. And really, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Are you thriving in this time? Or are you in a victim space, and are you just trying to survive? And so it's really been fun. The last 9 years of growing in our leadership in the network marketing space and being able to just have that influence and love and on people. And so, while it's a little crazy right now, I think Tyler's going to tell a little bit about that background.
I am. All right.
Here we go.
Yeah. So we got involved in network marketing 9 years ago. It was almost 9 years ago to the month. And it was an industry that neither one of us had looked into.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly had a profession as a hairstylist. I had a profession as a nutritionist for dairy cows. Okay.
Wow.
I'll let you process that. So as a nutritionist for cows. And, we ended up relocating from California to Spokane. Kelly's family was here. 0809 really kind of had an effect on my industry, agriculture, my career. I saw some real financial setback personally in my business. And that kind of put me on this path of like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's led us to Spokane. I ended up having my own business, but took a job as I was just trying to, take care of my family, but looking for that next path. And Kelly happened to be on a plane traveling from here back to California, sat next to a lady. And that's where she learned about Isagenix. And wow. It really is a testament of, I think, one of the things that it's near and dear to our heart. And, how that experience happened is, as this is I Love Recruiting, is sometimes people think recruiting means that you go out and you hard press people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first thing that is not in either one of us.
Right.
As both of us had a referral-based business. We had a business that was based upon relationships with clients, and most of our clientele, whether it was Kelly or it was me and each of our businesses, came via those people and referrals.
Mm-hmm.
And as we learned and we kind of looked back at it, it's like it was never this hard sale. It was like, oh, you got to do it now. You got to do it now. It was like building relationships and adding value. And
right.
So as we stop and think about it, it's like, man, I think really in the core of either one of us, it's like, how can we serve people? How can we help people? How I'm probably the more natural connector. I really like to connect. I'm an extrovert. I like to get to know people, learn, because one of my strengths is learning. And so for me, a lot of that is just, what can I do to help people and learn through that process? And so, part of our history in and of that, when it came to network marketing, it wasn't that we were searching for it. It just kind of fell into our lap. And it's like, oh, this this kind of makes sense in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, and I think we could almost this is a recruiting podcast, and a little bit, hopefully later people are coming on here because they want a little bit of training, and I want to weave the training kind of into our story a little bit, because I think there's some points that we could really see and reach out to here. So we're sitting on an airplane as I am getting introduced to this Isagenix, right? And I'm sitting on an aisle seat, and this lady is sitting next to a window seat, and there's this very tall man in between us, and very tall, maybe 6'4" to 6'7", should not be in a window seat, should be up definitely in first class. And I felt just bad for him. And I don't want you guys to think I'm some wonderful woman always giving up my seats, because I can probably think on one hand how many times I've actually done this, but I just felt bad for the guy, right? So I offered him my seat, and he just thought that was the weirdest thing in the world, but he took it. And what happened in that instance is it placed me next to the woman who introduced us to Isagenix. And while that doesn't seem like a huge thing, now we have a team of over 200,000 people that had I not given up that seat. And I just think it's so important to be looking for those opportunities to where you can give and serve, because you do not know what the blessing is on the other side of that,
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, that's kind of just the number one thing, is just be so highly aware of how you can serve, because you don't know how that may change the trajectory of not only your life, but 200,000 people who maybe never would have heard about Isagenix because that duplication hadn't begun.
That's
awesome.
incredible. We have a vision. We have two things I want to share real quick. So we have a vision inside of the I Love Recruiting company, and that's to impact 100 million people before I'm 60. So we have 17 more years to go. So we got some time. And secondly is we have an equation. That equation is recruiting equals influence equals leadership. And it can go either way, because leadership does equal influence, and it does then help you recruit. So walk us down that path, because that's an incredible story. I've never heard that one. So you traded seats with somebody, and you basically got to influence 200,000 people because of that, right?
Yeah, because of that decision. And, as the story goes on a little bit more, we sat there and talked for about 2 hours. And I think the second thing that I think is so important in the recruiting world is she was a master at asking questions,
Mm-hmm.
and I think if you can master intentional, good, heartfelt questions, you can figure out what that pain point and what that need is on the other side of that person. And whether or not you make that connection or that sale right there, you've planted a seed, because they know that you've cared. And I remember you guys in London, you guys were great question askers, and you asked about our life. We connected via social media. And now, and who knows, if we ever move and we need a house or whatever that looks like, who knows where that will take us. But she was so great at that and made me feel seen and needed and heard. I didn't know there was network marketing. I thought she was just talking to me, and I just thought she was telling me about this detox and cleanse, and she sold me, and I was totally into it. But you just becoming a master at intentional questions, I think. And you can start very, very basic with just the form, the family, occupation, recreation, motivation, which is a great place to start, but then taking that to the next level and having questions in your back pocket where you can just dig deeper and really get to the heart of that question.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I love to learn, and that's one of my strengths, StrengthsFinder. And part of that learning is asking questions. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's a way to connect and learn more about people and to understand. And so I think that's where each of our talents are completely different, how we get there. But it really is, for me, about learning about people. And part of that is connecting. And as I'm asking questions, one of the things that I do in our business specifically is I go into a conversation situation, meet someone, and expect them to not want anything in our business. I expect them to not be a fit, it not be for them. And I've learned this a couple of different ways. It's kind of like if a detective goes into a case and they expect whoever they see to not be a suspect. And so that's going to make them continually ask questions to justify or deny that opinion. And so I think when you go into it, instead of trying to say, oh, these are all the reasons why, I'm trying to say all the reasons why not. So when it continually shows up as why, it's like, well, that's a good fit. And that also forces you. I listened to a podcast, this is a couple months ago. There's a guy I listen to a lot, leadership a lot, Craig Rochelle. And he was talking about, he had a shoulder issue. And he goes to this physical therapist, and this physical therapist is asking question after question after question. It's like, guy, It's pretty simple. And he goes, Craig, I've trained myself that I ask 21 questions to every patient before I ever get an answer. And so he goes through 21 questions. He goes, when did you know? Oh, I knew before I asked the first question. But when you connect, when you're talking to people, when you're relating to people, the more questions you ask, there's two things that are going to happen. You're going to learn stuff you didn't to relate to them, to find out, again, where maybe their pain points are. But if you ask the right questions, you're going to hear objections. Right. And objections are great. I read this book earlier this year with my son, my 11-year-old son, kind of forced him to drive in between sports. We haven't done that now. But we'll listen to books. And the book was Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
It's a good one.
It's all about negotiation. And, as Chris, went through this, he was talking about, people say, oh, usually you want to have people nodding their head saying yes. And he goes, that doesn't get you anywhere. Get them to say no. Find out where they're going to say no, because that's when you start to learn about their box that they live in, where their barriers are. And when you can do that from a heartfelt way, that's when you start to learn and can really help people, is to find out where their no barriers are, as opposed to, I just want them saying yes. Because a lot of times they're just saying yes to get rid of you.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So curious. So so we have recruiters that are listening to this. We have leaders that listen to this. And we also have people that are just interested in learning to become a better leader or become a better recruiter or an influencer. What would you say to someone that wants to start to become a good question asker? Because you guys are going down this path and it's amazing. I had a coach teach me that a long time ago, that if you can sit in a meeting, how many questions can you actually ask, and can you keep a little tally mark of doing that? And I created a list of 26 questions when I was recruiting in the real estate space. And I kid you not, I had one session where I sat there and I asked the guy 87 questions in about an hour. And then we got finished and he's like, wow, that was incredible. Did you tell me anything about Keller Williams? I said, nope, I didn't tell you one single thing about KW.
No.
What would you guys say to someone that wants to become a better question asker, or maybe someone that just wants to start to ask good questions? What would you suggest?
I'm going to start off, and this is something that, kind of varies from person to person, but everyone needs to wear this hat. Mm-hmm. You start off with the mindset, it's not about you. Mm-hmm. And I think that can really put your mind into the place of, okay, I need to ask questions. So to me, that's what's first, is it's not about you, it's about them. And so if you think about that from a mindset point of view, well, then you're naturally going to ask questions.
Right.
But if it's about you, you're going to do all the talking. Mm-hmm. And so it's not about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, and I think just not having an agenda on the other side of the questions. Mm-hmm. We talk about networking, and when we go out into networking spaces, because that's a big part of our business, is getting to know people and going into those spaces of not what are you going to get, because we've all walked into those network meetings and people are handing you business cards and it feels slimy and it feels creepy, but really walking in, and we're spiritual people, so we pray, before we walk in, we say, God, put on our spirit goggles and please show us what we need to see, how you see this person, and what we can do to give and serve in that situation, as opposed to how can we get. And I think organically, that's kind of how the questions just start to flow. I'm more introverted, so I'm going right to the heart questions. I want to ask questions of, how did that make you feel? What did that do for you? And we're going we're going deep fast, kind of tricking them in a way, in a nice way, but just so I can really get to the heart of what it is that their need is and their pain point is. So I ask a lot about feelings and things like that. Like, I'll start with the surface kind of family questions, like I talked about, or, kids. And then really, as soon as I can, I could go, if a mom says, oh, I'm homeschooling right now, what is that making you feel right now at homeschool? Like, what are the good feelings? And then what are the harder feelings? And then, does that make you feel stressed? Because our products are health and wellness products, right? So I'm talking about ways so I can find a solution for them, either in the health and wellness world or in the financial world. So tailoring those questions, but again, really with the intention of, what can I do to give and serve you and help you in this situation, whether I'm going to connect you with another person, but not with not when you're there walking around with dollar signs over their head, really.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I think that goes back to what I said earlier, is I go into those conversation situations and saying they're not a fit. And I don't say that in a bad way. It's just a matter of, if I put my mind there, then I'm going to, already be in that place. Then I'm constantly asking questions, say, wait a second, that is a fit. Oh, wait a second. That does make sense. I think one of the other things that happens, and I go back to your conversation you talked about, Adam, with the 86 questions, is that guy said, wow, that was great. He goes, but I didn't learn anything about you, but he left feeling great. He didn't leave feeling drained. And one of the things that I think is so important, our business is here. I think your business is the same way. You can only recruit so many people yourself. You can only do so many. But when you create such an amazing experience for others, they're like, you need to go meet Dana and Adam because you will never feel the same. They're recruiting for you. Right. So if you want to be a master recruiter, you have to get beyond the idea of, I just, I use up what I have. There was a great analogy I heard earlier this week, and I think is a good spot for it, is if we all look at it that we're a grain of wheat. There's 3 different things that can happen with a grain of wheat. It can be fed to an animal, a person, it can be turned into flour, whatever, it can be used one time. It can then be, kind of utilized as a, you can make it, fed as a grain of wheat, or you can make it into flour and you can make it into other things. You could bake a cake, you could do whatever else with that. Or you could plant it in the ground. And if you plant it in the ground, that one seed has the potential of making 100 seeds. And so when you look at our opportunity as recruiting, as sharing, as connecting, as adding value to people, that is finding the fertile soil to plant your seed, and it's going to turn back 100-fold because of what you're doing with that seed.
Ding, ding, ding. Well, that was a good one.
That was a really good one.
Hope y'all wrote that down, everybody. Right now.
Not, you can go listen to John Maxwell and he'll tell you the story.
No, I have so many questions. Okay. I'll have to give you a couple of mine. So I really would love for y'all to talk a little bit about, because both of you guys have great social medias, and I think that plays into a big part of being able to share the experience and create that for other people. Is that something that came naturally for you guys, or did you have to get coached and trained on that? And how has that played into your world with recruiting too?
That's a great question. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you just hit a hot button sore point in our relationship.
No, that is a great question.
It's a great question.
Because we're going to both have 2 totally different answers. And you're right. Because social media, and I have that in my notes because it is so important to stay relevant. Because, back in the day, we had to close the deal right then and there if we wanted the deal to close, or else we had to do these awkward follow-ups, and it just kind of got weird and messy, where nowadays you can make that connection and they can just watch your social media, and that's the follow-up. They can see who truly you are in your heart and your core, and they can be like, yes, I'm aligned with that person, or no, I'm not, or yes, I want to do business with them. Or maybe it's going to be a year later where they are like, oh, I remember meeting those people and they had something. They're going to go back and kind of see if you're still up to it and doing it. So it's so important to stay into the Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I would say those 3 are hot. And then if you're, 25 and under, please TikTok it out. You probably won't find me on there, but I think it's such a great place, and I'm seeing so many people really, really using that space. So it does come somewhat natural to me. I wouldn't say I'm perfect at it. I wouldn't say I'm great at it, but I definitely leave my heart out there on it, and I love it as a tool. But I think Tyler's the exact opposite. I would say his was painful at first, and he's gotten so great at it. And he's really,
it's really great. Yours is so both good. Of y'all's is really great. And I love that you're real. The thing I will say I love about Tyler so much is that I know that without fail, every morning I can wake up, and you guys wake up before us because you're 3 hours behind us. And so every morning I can wake up and I can do my devotion, and then you, without fail, post yours. And so then I go read Tyler's.
That's so awesome. I love it.
I know it will be there every single day because you're so.
It's about being consistent. Yeah, I mean I think that's one of the things learned over time is you got to find the right feel for what consistency. I said it was a hot button issue because when we first got involved in this business, Kelly was like, "Well, it needs to look like this," and I'm like, "But that's not me. Right? I don't like to do that. It's going to look ugly." And it's like, "Well, it's not pretty enough." And I said, "Screw it, then I'm out," and just would avoid it. But then I saw the value of it connecting with people. I'm like, no, I need to do this. And literally number of times Kelly and I have unfollowed each other because she would make some comment and I'd be like, heck with you, I'm done. I'm an Enneagram 8. And when you check out, I become a 5, and a 5 is just checked out, you know, special finger of the world. And, you know, that's where it became a hot button issue. But then it's like, I had to ask her, like, if you have a comment, don't say it. I will get it from other people because it's too tenuous. But I really looked at that as I needed to find something where I felt it was about me. Mm-hmm. As Kelly said, if you're we mentioned this earlier, Adam, you brought this up. We should have been recording the pre-call because it's like all the good stuff. And I made the comments like, yeah, but if all the stuff beforehand looks totally different than all the stuff in the minute, then people are freaked out. And so I want my social media to be like me. So if you see my social media, we talk on the phone and you're like, well, yeah, that's him. If you see someone's social media and then you meet him in person, you're like, whoa, this is not the same person. Weird. Then you're doing a disservice. And so that's where, for me, it's kind of like the things that are important to me, the routine, the consistency. You know, I've had to really work hard on being more positive, uplifting. I've read a lot of John Gordon because of that. And, you know, so that's where it's, for me, it's kind of like, hey, I'm trying to be that because that's what I need in my life. And that's what I'm trying to, you know, let my light shine. And again, it is about being consistently you and not like you're trying to, I guess for me, it's not trying to put on a show.
Yeah. Right.
It's about, hey, this is who I am. This is what's near, dear, and important to me.
Just being real and authentic. Always. Always. Yeah. And that also then runs parallel with when you're sitting down and asking someone a question, just be authentic, right? Yeah. Stay in an authentic state.
Right, and that's like the questions. You would love to give a script to someone on how to ask questions, but the other person's going to feel that. So that doesn't work. As much as I would love to say, do this, and this is going to be your outcome, it just doesn't work. Same with your social media. Like, it has to be, again, so authentic. And in that moment, like, I would never put my posts out there because tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up and have different inspiration, and that post is going to look different than, 3 weeks ago if I were to have written it then. So I think it's great to get sound advice from somebody that you love and just say, hey, what does it look like from your perception about what I'm putting out there, and someone that you trust that has a good eye, and ask them to kind of go through your social media. Obviously, I was not that person for Tyler, and that's okay, but when you can get that sound advice from someone and see, so that you can see how the world's perceiving your social media, it's important.
So Tyler, did you friend her back? Did you accept the friend back? That's
I think at some point, yeah. I mean, it's been enough time. It's gone back and forth. It's not like now, yeah, exactly.
It's pending. Yeah. So okay, curious. Let's go into business now. We've been in the business now for 9 years. 200,000 people. You guys have impacted those lives. What's the long-term vision? Where do you see this growing? What's next? What are you guys gonna do?
That's a great question. It's a great question. We're actually, here's something, it's a great book. All right, you guys, I learn a lot. We're obsessed
with it right now.
I read a lot of books. A great new book, Michael Hyatt's book, Vision Driven Leader. Okay, don't get it.
Everyone get it. Like, anybody who needs any sort of vision in your life right now.
Yeah,
it's time to go.
I binged it on Monday morning. I listened to the whole book in a couple hours. I happened to be driving, but it's great. And what I realized from that is I needed to create my own personal vision. Kelly, I asked for her to create her own personal vision. Then the two of us together looking at our business vision, but then also having a family vision. And I think this is what's interesting. And Michael Hyatt talked a little bit about it. Darren Hardy has talked a little bit about it. Is you used to be able to have a 5 to 7 to 8 to 10 year vision. Mm-hmm. Our world moves too fast, and the coronavirus, COVID-19, has shown that doesn't happen. And so you need to be in a place to constantly let your vision evolve. It doesn't mean the core values change,
right?
But your vision can change, as the times and where we're at. So, I think what's interesting, 9 years ago, we're sitting, family, 3 little kids. I have 2 other, a business, a career, everything else. We would never guess where we're at. And it's like 9 years. It's not that long. And so I think what's hard is where we're at to think of where we're going to be in another 5 to 9 years. But I know this. I know God has given us the opportunity to impact and influence people. And I know that excites and lights me up. And, you know, I speak the same for Kelly. And so to me, that's part of our vision is that's what we're about. How are we going to do it? Well, right now, the platform is network marketing, which, you know, can increase value to so many people, but we're also business people and entrepreneurs. And it doesn't mean that we're going to, you know, forsake that, but it's also, who knows what platform God really has for us.
Right.
And, you know, the people we're going to meet. And so being open to that, say, hey, if we're impacting him, you know, the people for God and, you know, sharing about who we are and also helping them, dude, that's part of my vision.
Yeah. Giving is so important to us. And so usually giving's tied into our vision, and, you know, a story for a different day, but it's so cool to see, we had given a donation and didn't have the money for the donation. Like, we totally faith gave this giant, more money than we've ever given in our life. And literally within like hours, we got a phone call for one of the biggest contracts of our network marketing career. And I truly believe Maxwell says that, you know, be a river, not a reservoir. And I truly believe we love to give. And so I'm constantly reading stories and inspired by people of, you know, millions and billions. And so my big vision is, you know, I want to be the Oprah Winfrey's that can write, you know, gangster checks and give. I can just imagine with the right people making these insane amounts of money in order to be able to just give so big in so many insane ways. So, you know, probably a $5 to $10 million give in the next 5 years would be a huge goal and vision for me. And then, but what I love to do is I love to teach that to our team, like even teammates who maybe don't have the faith background that we have. The law of attraction works, right? And so I can teach them that given, it'll be given, and just seeing that duplicates throughout the team. So, you know, I want more 6 and 7 figure income earners on our team that are able to give on that big scale, so they can see how fulfilling that truly is, as opposed to, you know, get more, you know, just really what we're being entrusted to do. You know, when God gives you, he has big responsibilities when he gives you big,
he does.
I can't think of the word, but you know.
That's really good. Well, cool. Well, let's wrap this up here, because I know we both have time. Where can people go find you? How can they learn more about you, and how can they follow you, and how can they maybe even get involved in your business?
Yeah. So there's a couple different things: Facebook, Instagram. You know, Tyler Dickerhuff, the bald one, Kelly Dickerhuff. I don't think there's another one. There are 3 Tyler Dickerhuffs. Other than that, TylerDickerhuff.com, Tyler and Kelly with an EY, and then .com, and then modernmomonamission.com are our websites. And you know, one of the things that I'll say there is, we're not like a lot of others network marketers. And I say that with a badge of honor in regards to, we want to work with people that want to help and love on people. And we're not looking at, and our business isn't how fast can we sell people. And so that's one of the things that I think, you know, getting back into all of this recruiting is add value first, connect, and, you know, see what happens. So that's kind of, you know, what we're about.
That's a good end. Anything else? Anything else as where they can go find you, or what they can do to get involved with you guys? That was awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Yeah. And we'd love, even if you're not in the network marketing space, we love to meet new people. Or if you are in the space and you just a different company, know that we still love to provide value, and anything we can do for you guys, we're here to serve you. So.
Well, you guys are great. Well, Dana and I are very blessed and honored to have met you guys in London and shared stories, and now this podcast, and we can't see what's going to happen next. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us on. This was so fun.
Yeah, and I hope, you know, everyone listening takes this opportunity that wherever business you're in, and say you're in real estate right now, and, you know, and like my business in 08, 09, when it came into challenges, if I look back and being open and willing to just learn and grow myself as a person, it doesn't matter what career you're in, grow yourself as a person, just like listening to this podcast, listening to Adam's going to grow you as a person. You will be amazed where that's going to lead you. And that's something I'm thankful for a couple years after that, I was willing at some point to say, hey, whatever, I got to move forward, as opposed to, as Kelly said earlier, being a victim. It's like, move forward, and that doesn't matter what day you're in. So thanks, Adam.
Awesome.
Nice. Way to take us out there, Tyler. That was good. Okay, everybody, I am Adam Roach, your host, and we just had Tyler and Kelly on our show, and we will see you next time. Take care.